Hello. So, I am back in a very familiar position. This is where I filmed my first video. I wanted to say I'm so incredibly affected by everything that's going on right now. Like, I want you to know, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're personally feeling or whatever you're personally going through right now, I hope that you're gonna be okay and that you can get whatever help you need and that you and your family are gonna be okay and you're gonna be safe. And there's a dog back there. But I just want to say, I'm sincerely hoping that everyone out there is okay and that you can find some peace and happiness during this quarantine and be okay. I hope everyone is, doing well. So today I wanted to talk about what it was like to live as a man versus what it was like to live as a woman. And I want to preface this by saying I am not obviously the be-all end-all authority of knowing what it's like to live as a man, of course, or even to live as a woman, because I'm just one person. I can't say, everyone's like this, or every person acts like this, or it's like this for every person. But I did have my own experiences living as both genders at one point, so I'm gonna try and articulate what it was like for me. So, since I started transitioning with testosterone when I was 16, I didn't really have any experiences as an adult woman. I did have my life experience up to that point of being female, which I can say was very different than my life as a male, but it was also different just because of the context of the things that were going on in my life. However, I'd say the biggest thing I noticed was people definitely treat men and women differently. I'd say obviously the biggest thing being I no longer got hit on very much. And I'd say that mostly because of the fact that I was a man, because I think people just tend not to hit on men randomly. I don't know if that's true, but even being a somewhat attractive man, I can say at least for the last year and a half that I was taking testosterone, I was still not really getting hit on all that often. There's a dog. Come here. Just pet my dog with me for a second. And so immediately another thing I definitely noticed. Hi. There's dogs all around. I love you. So coming back, identifying as female once again, I've noticed that I just immediately started to get hit on again. Even by men who knew me while I was male. So that's been interesting, dealing with that again. And so I'd say that's one of the biggest things, is just the way, romantically, it's very different. There's very different expectations. And I want to talk about a specific story that I have. I haven't talked about this before, but there's this girl that I knew, that I met at an event that I went to, and we hit it off and started flirting, and I was like, yeah, this is flirting, and I could tell she was into it. This was about 2 years when I was on testosterone. And, we exchanged information, we talked to each other, and then we hung out again and told each other that we both were, romantically into each other. And then I ended up telling her that I was trans because I was like, okay, this is the point where I have to do this. And it felt so weird to be like, hey, so I wasn't actually born male. it's kind of weird to do that, like to have to do that, to be like, what you see is not what you get, you know, like I have a different body like than you're expecting. And so that's really hard. And after that I kind of felt like I didn't really want to pursue this, not because she had a bad reaction, like I think her reaction was kind of just more confused and she didn't really understand it. But I don't think she was like really put off. I just think we both kind of felt like, yeah, this is kind of weird, and we didn't go further with anything after that. We didn't hang out again or anything. But I was just thinking like that would be very different. That would have gone very differently if I had been born male. Like I wouldn't have had to disclose that kind of information, and we could have just moved forward as like simply as a relationship. And so I'm currently in the middle of a sort of flirting / like romantic thing with this guy that I know. And it feels very different than when it was me as a guy with this girl. It was completely different feeling, to be like having to, I don't have to this is kind of stereotypical, but this is how I feel. Like I don't have to be super assertive. I don't have to be super dominant. Like I don't have to be the one texting first and like making all the plans or whatever. Like that's, and I feel like that's kind of expected for guys to do. And I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore, because I was not prepared for that. So that's one thing I am appreciating as I'm being seen as female again more and more. So that's one part of it, is like obviously very big part of it is the romantic aspect of it. The thing is, if I had just been living as female that entire time, I obviously would have had a very different experience, because people just want girls. Like it's just like men specifically just want girls all the time. And so I would have had to deal with that entire time, and that would have made me feel really weird, because I was trying to figure out like a lot of things about myself, my sexuality, and other things that probably would have made me feel really weird about being pursued if I had been identifying as male but being pursued by a bunch of straight guys, because that would have been really weird for me, and it probably would have taken me deeper into the trans thing, but I can't say for sure, so I won't try and think about that. But well, I do want to say that like, since it is like night and day, it's very different, and you don't really think about the differences of like being pursued romantically. Well, maybe some people do. I didn't think it was going to be that different. I thought like, yeah, I can just get whoever I want. But the first person that I liked after starting testosterone like turned me down because he thought I was a dude, you know? And I was like, I wanted him to think that, but it was kind of weird to deal with that. It was actually really weird to deal with that. Like having the expectations of knowing that you don't have to do any like extra explanation, like somebody just likes you for who you are. That's a really nice thing to know, you know? Here's what you see. This is me. This is all of me. We go on a date. You like this? You'll like me, you know? Like that's it. There's nothing else to say. It's really great. And obviously another big aspect of changing gender is the way that you get treated in society, at large. So here's my problem, is I never really got to live as a woman before transitioning. I didn't have a job. I didn't know how to drive. I didn't really do anything outside of the house. I didn't even really go to school. So I didn't have any experiences as like a teenage woman, much less an adult woman. So I don't really know what that's like, and I'm kind of figuring that out as I'm going along in life right now. I mean, most of the time I'd say people still think that I'm a dude in public, which I'm just dealing with because it's going to take time to balance everything out. But when I do get treated as female, I have noticed the differences. So the first thing is that women smile at me. That didn't happen very much before. When I was male, I think that happened a lot less. People just treat you better. People treat you nicer. People are nicer to you, I think. It might just be me because I'm happier, but that's one part of it. And having a job has been very weird. Like, as a male, having a job, it's been like, the relationships I have with coworkers is interesting. At my first job, they all thought I was gay, and so that's really weird to think about now. I have a lot of my old coworkers from that job on Facebook, though, so a lot of them have seen my first video. That's really weird to think about, the fact that they all thought I was like a gay teen boy. It's super weird. So the way that I would have relationships with my male coworkers was very interesting to me. That was the first experience of like male bonding that I ever saw, really. And so I think that taught me a lot about how to talk to men and how to interact and relate with men. And I had to learn that quick because I was obviously thrust into an environment where I was working, so I didn't even have time to really think about the aspect of interacting with men in a different way. I'm kind of glad I wasn't female at my first job, though, because they all were really creepy older men, and that was exactly what I was trying to get away from. So glad they didn't see past anything in my appearance, because that would have been awful for me. And that's the thing too, is like, as a woman, people just see you as an object. It's like, no matter what you do, you're saying something, you know, you're making a statement somehow, you know, like, you're just existing as a woman, and someone's gonna judge you for something that you do, you know. It's just how it is. So that part of it really sucks. I do want to talk about living as a man more, though, because that's what I'll never get to experience again, I guess I'll say. I don't know. It's weird because I try to imagine what it would be like to be female and going through the stuff I went through. And it's weird because it would be so different. So let's just go through like the life that I spent like living as a man and think about what would be different. So my first job with my girlfriend, our relationship would have been viewed a lot differently. I'll just say that. If people had known, I would have still wanted to date her, and I think she would have still wanted to date me because she told me she was bi. So that would have been harder. Everyone at my job was kind of weird about, I mean, being a gay teen boy is one thing, but being gay teen girls working together, wow, we would have gotten a lot of shit from all of our coworkers, probably a lot of nasty comments from the older men. Wow, yeah, definitely would have been a lot different there. Just the way fucking people view lesbians is just gross, so that would have been different. Anyways, please stop. There's so many dogs around here, so many dogs. I also got to have relationships with male coworkers who would treat me very differently than they would treat a woman. I got to build bonds and have friendships with men, and especially at my last job, I think I had very close male relationships with them, which was really nice because I never really got to have that, obviously. So it's interesting to know that I like had that experience at one point in my life that I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to have. So that's cool. Yeah, this video is kind of all over the place. I think I'm excited to have what I've missed out on, I guess, is where I want to end this. I'm trying to be positive these days. And I think I'm doing a good job of it. There's so many dogs. So, I'm gonna end this video by saying there's a lot to look forward to and there's a lot to be positive about. With everything going on right now, it's kind of impossible to think about what's next or what the future is like. And I just want to say, for everyone affected by the coronavirus, I'm sorry, and I hope that you're doing okay as best you can. Everything's really weird right now, but this is probably where I'll be doing videos from now on for the foreseeable future. So, thank you all for watching. Goodbye.